Chapter 24. The Bend in the Road. The next afternoon, Anne returned from the Barry house to find Marilla at the kitchen table, leaning her head on her hand. Something in the way she was sitting struck a chill in Anne's heart. She had never seen Marilla look so down. "Is it one of your headaches, Marilla? Are you very tired?" "Yes. No. I suppose I am, but I haven't thought about it," said Marilla. "Did you go to the special eye doctor today, Marilla?" Anne asked her gently. "Yes," said Marilla. "He examined my eyes. He said that if I give up sewing and reading, and if I'm careful not to cry, and if I wear the special glasses he's given me, then my eyes may not get any worse and my headaches will be cured. But if I don't, he says, I'll be blind in 6 months. Blind! Anne, just think of it." After that shock, Anne said, "Don't think that way, Marilla. He has given you hope. If you're careful, you won't go blind. Your headaches might even go away." "I don't call that much hope," said Marilla sharply. "What am I to live for if I can't read or sew or anything? I might as well be blind or dead. Oh, let's stop talking about it, and please don't tell anybody else. I don't want a lot of busybodies around here trying to help." That night, Anne sat in her little room with a heavy heart. How sadly things had changed since she had arrived home from Queen's. Anne felt as if she had lived a year since then. Before she went to sleep that night, she had made a decision about her future. It would be difficult, but she felt good about what she had to do. A few days later, John Sadler, a man from Carmody, came to talk to Marilla. Afterward, Marilla joined Anne in the kitchen. "What did Mr. Sadler want?" Anne asked. There were tears in Marilla's eyes. "He heard that I was going to sell Green Gables, and he wants to buy it." "Buy it? Buy Green Gables?" Anne asked, wondering if she had heard right. "I don't know what else to do," Marilla said. "We've lost every penny we had when the bank failed. Besides, I can't run this place with my eyesight going. I never thought that I'd see the day when I'd sell my home, but it looks as if the only way I can survive is to sell Green Gables and live on the money it brings. I'm sorry that you won't have a home to come to on your vacations, Anne, but I suppose you'll manage somehow." Marilla broke down and cried bitterly. "You mustn't sell Green Gables," said Anne. "I wish I didn't have to, but I can't stay here alone. I'd go crazy with loneliness, and I'd lose my eyesight. I know it." "You won't have to stay here alone," said Anne. "I'll be here with you. I'm not going to Redmond." "Not going to Redmond?" asked Marilla. "What do you mean?" "Just what I said," replied Anne, smiling. "I'm not taking the scholarship. I decided so the night after you saw the doctor. Surely you don't think that I'd leave you all alone in your trouble? After all you've done for me. Here's my plan. Mr. Barry wants to rent our farm for a year, so we won't have to worry about keeping that up, but can keep on living in the house. I'm going to teach. I've applied for the school here. I don't think I'll get it because Gilbert Blythe had already promised for the job, but I can teach at the school in Carmody. It's only a short trip each day. The rest of the time, I'll be here to read to you and keep you cheered up. You won't be lonesome at all. We'll be real cozy and happy here, you and I." Marilla had listened like a woman in a dream. "Oh, Anne," she said, "it would be great if you were here, but I can't let you sacrifice yourself for me. It would be terrible." "Nonsense!" Anne laughed merrily. "Nothing would hurt me more than giving up Green Gables. My mind is made up. I'm not going to Redmond. I'll stay here and teach. Don't worry about me." "But you had such great ambitions." "I still have great ambitions," said Anne. "They've just changed. I'm going to be a good teacher, and I'm going to save your eyesight. When I left Queen's, my future seemed to stretch out in front of me like a straight road. Now there's a bend in that road. I don't know what lies around the bend, but I believe that the best lies there." "You blessed girl," said Marilla. "I feel as if I should make you take that scholarship, but I know I can't. I'll make it up to you, though, Anne." When it became known around town that Anne was going to stay home and teach instead of going to college, most people thought her a fool. They didn't know about Marilla's troubles. Mrs. Lynde didn't know about them when she came over to Green Gables one afternoon and sat on the porch with Anne and Marilla. "Anne, I hear that you've given up going to college," she said with a smile. "I'm glad to hear it. I don't believe in young ladies going to college with men and cramming their heads full of Latin and Greek and all that nonsense." "But I am going to study Latin and Greek and everything else," said Anne with a smile. I'm going to study by mail right here at Green Gables." Mrs. Lynde raised her hands in horror. "Anne Shirley, you'll kill yourself," she cried. "No, I won't," said Anne. "I'll have lots of spare time. I'm going to teach in Carmody, you know." "You are not," answered Mrs. Lynde. "You're going to teach right here in Avonlea. They gave you the job last night. That's what I'm here to tell you." "Mrs. Lynde," cried Anne, leaping to her feet, "I thought they had given it to Gilbert Blythe." "They had," said Mrs. Lynde. "But as soon as Gilbert heard that you were staying, he went to them and asked them to give it to you. He's going to teach in White Sands instead. Of course, he only did it for you, because he heard that you wanted to stay here. I think it was awfully nice of him, don't you?" "I don't think I should take it," said Anne. "I don't want him to sacrifice himself for me." "You can't do anything about it now," said Mrs. Lynde. "He signed a contract with the White Sands School." Next morning, Anne went out and put fresh flowers on Matthew's grave. On her way back, she stopped to look at all the beauty around her. "Dear old world," she said softly, "you are lovely, and I'm glad to be alive in you." Soon afterward, she passed the Blythe home. A tall young man was just letting himself out of the gate, whistling. It was Gilbert, and the whistle died on his lips as he saw Anne. He tipped his hat to her, but he would have passed on in silence if she hadn't have stopped and held out her hand. "Gilbert," she said with red cheeks, "I want to thank you for giving up the school for me. It was very good of you." Gilbert took her hand eagerly. "It was nothing," he said. "I'm glad to be able to help. Are we going to be friends after this? Have you finally forgiven me?" "I forgave you that day at the pond. I just didn't know it then. What a silly goose I was. I may as well make a full confession. I have been sorry ever since." "We are going to be the best of friends," said Gilbert. "We were born to be friends. We've avoided our fate for too long. You're going to keep up your studies, aren't you? So am I. Come on, I'll walk you home." Marilla gave Anne a curious look when she came into the kitchen. "Who was that you were talking to, Anne?" "Gilbert Blythe," said Anne, surprised to find herself blushing. "I didn't know you two were such good friends to be standing for half an hour at the gate, talking," Marilla said with a dry smile. "We haven't been," said Anne. "We've been good enemies. But not any more. Was it really half an hour? It seemed like just a few minutes. But you see, we have 5 years of lost time to make up." That night, Anne sat happily in her little gable window. Her horizons had closed in since she had left Queen's. But if the path before her feet was to be narrow, at least she knew that flowers of quiet happiness would bloom along it, and there would always be the bend in the road. "God's in his heaven. All's right with the world," she whispered softly. The end. Thank you guys so much for staying along and listening to this whole book. I've had a really great time reading it. I hope you'll come back for other stories.